Hello, everybody, and welcome to What the Hell Should I Watch? I'm Steve Stebbing.
I'm Chloe Stebbing.
And we are the weekly podcast that tells you, well, basically what your weekend plans are and what else to watch during the week. And we come out every week right here on YouTube, Fridays at 9 a.m. And let's just head right into it. I got a big one. It's a big sequel. But there is a target audience for it. It is Kung Fu Panda 4.
After Po is tapped to become the spiritual leader of the Valley of Peace, he needs to find and train a new dragon warrior, while a wicked sorceress plans to resummon all the master villains whom Po has vanquished to the spirit realm.
Whelm. It's the Whelm. I love Jack Black. I always have. I always will. Like, that is an undying love. And he can make whatever bad movies he wants. That said, the Kung Fu Panda movies aren't bad. They never were bad. They are, I think, the stronger franchise within the DreamWorks animated pantheon, I think. I think I took you to one of them, I think. I feel like Kung Fu Panda 2 I took you to. Possibly.
Yeah, I have seen all of them, but the later ones, like after 2, they started coming out when I was like
A
15 or
teenager.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
exactly. It was like the
but
time for Kung Fu Panda was over.
yeah. Well, I mean, I did go and see S- the SpongeBob movie where they become like superheroes or
Oh,
something.
yeah. Is it
Um,
Sponge Out of Water or
that's the newest
okay?
one. No, wait, I have no idea
I don't.
because
They've
they
done a
made
few.
other
Sponge on
ones.
the Run. Sponge on the Run. I think it might be Sponge on the Run. That's the one with Keanu Reeves is Sage.
Yeah,
Yes, I think that's Sponge on the Run.
or okay, it was the one where Matt Berry was the dolphin, like the god dolphin.
Oh,
Bubbles.
we're going to be relying on you to drop some kind of card in here to correct both of us and just be totally
Yeah.
exasperated because as you're editing this, you're going to be like, it's this, it's this, it's this, it's this, and drop it in now. There we go.
Man. But whatever
But
it was, okay, I saw that when I was 13 on
okay.
Valentine's Day.
Nice. That sounds like a good Valentine's Day movie. I don't know why. I don't know. To me, it is. I'm not really thinking with a romantic mind on that one. But I don't know. I dig this series. I dig Jack Black as Poe. He is just as lovable as always. But the rest of the Furious Five or whatever are not really in this one. This one's kind of forging a new singular path for Poe. Which brings in a new character played by Aquafina. And I feel like there's probably a large part of the movie going and television watching public that is kind of sick of her. I'm not part of that. I really, really, really dig her still. I think she's hilarious. I think her show on Comedy Central was really funny, Nora from Queens. And the fact that her grandma in that show, played by Lori Tan Chin, is also a voice in this movie. As soon as I heard her voice, I knew exactly who it was, and I started laughing because she's just gold, steals the show in every time that she's in anything. Like, I really, really think she's hilarious. And Ke Kwan, after winning an Academy Award last year for Everything Everywhere All at Once, is continuing his great resurgence in television and movies after a really great appearance in Loki season 2, which he's incredible in that show. He is a voice in this one, and I picked his voice out right away as soon as he started talking. I adore this man so much, and I'm glad that he's getting an adult Hollywood experience after playing Data in Short Round in the 80s and being a childhood hero. But apparently, I was going into this movie, I thought this was going to be the end of Poe's story. Like he's basically moving on to the next spiritual level, becoming the spiritual advisor for his kingdom and all that kind of stuff. But apparently, this is the first of a new trilogy. There's going to be two more movies uh that are already loaded up, ready to go. So there are going to be 6 Kung Fu Panda movies by the time's all said and done. And who knows if DreamWorks and Paramount or DreamWorks and Universal are like, let's keep the ball rolling more. Because I think there's still a series that runs on Netflix, like a kids series, uh, like the Furious 5 or something like that still runs. So, I mean, DreamWorks says if it's still got legs, keep running it. And I don't know. I think there's another Shrek on the horizon. They haven't announced anything yet, but I've heard there possibly could be a Shrek 5. I'm just the one sitting here thinking, where's Mega Man 2? Mega Mind 2. Like, where's that movie? Isn't that the
What do
most
you mean?
memeable movie?
It's not a matter of where, it's why.
Why? You didn't like Mega Mind?
I've not seen it.
Okay.
I didn't wanna spend the money on it. Um, but oh my god, I don't want to give that movie my money, okay? Like, I don't even know what they were on. I I don't understand how that can happen. Like, it feels like Incredibles 2 came out and they were like, "I gotta get on that," and then just shit out a movie just to, like, ride that wave, but no, it's
That's fair.
I can't even continue going on this because I don't even know what to say about it. I'm just gonna put up a picture of it in editing and just be like, "There, like, it doesn't need words."
Threatening the city a few days ago. Now you're defending it. I want to be.
That's fair. That's fair. I will end off my Kung Fu Panda 4 review saying that Jack Black at the end of the movie covers Britney Spears' Hit Me Baby One More Time, and it is freaking epic. Like, just how about Jack just does the whole In the Zone album? Let's do it all. And release it as a solo Tenacious D record, because it is such a wild cover, and he's actually kind of the perfect person to cover it. So at the end of it, I enjoyed Kung Fu Panda. It satisfied me as much as the other films have, and I think that's good for a very consistent franchise. All right, next up, we're heading to Netflix for Millie Bobby Brown in Damsel.
A dutiful damsel agrees to marry a handsome prince, only to find the royal family has recruited her as a sacrifice to repay an ancient debt. Starring Millie Bobby Brown, Ray Winstone, Angela Bassett, Nick Robinson, and Robin Wright. And it's directed by Juan Carlos Fresnadillo.
Who was the director of 28 Weeks Later.
Yes.
Brings it all full circle, all
Yeah.
back to you. And I don't know. Millie has this thing about names, I feel like, because her character in Stranger Things is 11, or L, and then she's in that Enola Holmes 2 movies for Netflix, and now in this one she's Princess Elodie. She really likes the names. Like, I don't know if this is a significant thing, but it just feels like every time she's on screen, it's like she's gonna be Esther in another movie. She'll be, I don't know, Evelyn in some other movie. Like, we're gonna knock all these names down, apparently. Um, but yeah, I thought it was like an entertaining film, but it's super dumb at its core, and it has so many things in the movie that almost stop the movie dead in its track, where you're like, well, that was incredibly stupid, and probably too, like, I would say probably about 15 minutes of the worst ending scenes to a movie I think I've ever seen. It was just horrendous, the choices, and it felt like it was post-production choices and maybe reshoot choices, because the CG was really bad in it, in this last part, and it just felt like maybe shoehorning a sequel was what they were trying to do. I just don't know where the sequel's coming from. um I I don't know. I had real, like, it just kind of took a nosedive. It was doing like I felt like it was doing like a solid like 3 out of 5. And then it just kind of like in that last little bit, it just kind of shaved it off, shaved a little of those star points off. And I was just like, what are you doing? Although, and I think this has to come from the fact that it's a Fresnadillo movie, there was a few surprisingly bloody kills for a film that does feel very PG 13 fantasy film for teen girls. I don't know. Have you seen the trailer for this one?
Yeah, and I almost watched it. I was really close because it looks cool.
It
Like
does. It does.
the trailer looked super cool, but I just had a feeling that this movie was going to hurt me. And you've cemented that.
Yeah.
So, and as much as I love the Stranger Things series, Millie Bobby Brown is not my favorite. Um, young stardom and all that.
hmm
And
It's
yeah, it's
tough.
just
It's
yeah,
tough. And I mean, for Millie's sake, she was, I mean, and this is sad, she was sexualized early
she
too,
was.
and it definitely has an effect. It clearly has
Yeah.
an effect, and I think it's definitely messed her up a bit. There's some, I don't know, just the way she presents herself in interviews and stuff. She's definitely guarding herself because she has a knowledge that there are predators out there.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's so unfortunate. And it happens to a lot of, like, it probably happened to all those kids. It probably happened to Finn Wolfhard. It happened to Gaten Matarazzo. Like, it's happened to all of them. And but being a girl and a woman in the industry, it is exponentially harder. I can
Yeah.
only assume. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I don't know. She's under Netflix's wing big time, because it seems like all of her major I think, yeah, at this point all of her major projects are all Netflix.
Yeah.
I would say still give it a chance, because there is some great action sequences, and I know you like Fresnadillo, the darkness in Fresnadillo's vision sometimes, and he
Yeah.
does exhibit some of that. And the dragon looks pretty freaking cool. And the dragon's voiced by Shora Agadashlu, who has got like a really great like kind of like an accent and everything in her delivery. I thought it was interesting. So again, dumb but entertaining. All right, let's move on to Prime Video's Ricky Stenicki.
When three childhood best friends pull a prank that goes wrong, they invent the imaginary Ricky Stenicki to get them out of trouble. 20 years later, they still use the non existent Ricky as a handy alibi for their immature behavior. Starring Zac Efron, John Cena, Andrew Santino, Jermaine Fowler, and William H. Macy. Directed by Peter Farrelly.
Yeah, Peter Farrelly, him
Oh,
and Bobby Farrelly, in the 90s, did films like Dumb and Dumber, um, Me, Myself, and Irene. There's Something About Mary. Shallow Hal was in the 2000s. Like they
love
did,
Shallow Hal.
yeah, they did a crap load of really great comedies. Um, then they split up kind of to make films on their own, kind of in the 2010s era. Peter Farrelly would win Best Picture for Green Book with Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali, but returns to the gross out, crude comedy roots with Ricky Stenicki. And I will not lie to you, this is one of the funniest films I've watched this year. My wife and I were dying laughing. There's so many great lines and great moments in this. It is that hard rated R, like gross out kind of sex comedy in parts, but John Cena is he's just so fearless. Like there's something about John Cena willing to do absolutely everything that really works, and he manages to do this with this character and also give it like some depth of heart that I really enjoyed. And it's not a movie that I would expect to have that kind of emotion to it, but it really does. Zac Efron's also really, really great when he's playing the kind of the straight guy in a comedy that's about things going out of control. Like he is just a really great barometer. I think about movies like Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates when I bring this up. I just think I think Zac Efron's really underrated when it comes to comedy. Andrew Santino is one of my favorite stand-up comedians right now. He does a podcast with Bobby Lee called Bad Friends that I think is hilarious. And he was in a series about stand-up comedy in the 70s on Showtime called I'm Dying Up Here that only did 2 seasons, a brilliantly written show produced by Jim Carrey. And he was really, really good in that one. He was kind of the not named by like an amalgamation character that was supposed to be kind of Bill Hicks. And he's just really, really good in that. And William H. Macy needs to get his flowers when it comes to comedy, because that guy is a scene stealer and he does it with such incredible subtlety that like he's one of the greatest of all time. And he is one of those supporting actors who, when you see his name pop up on screen, you're like, yes, like you're happy about it. And Ricky Stenicki, for how crude and rude and all over the place it is, it's a recommendation. I really had fun with it, and I think I even gave it a 4 out of 5, which is crazy for a comedy like this. But I was in hook, line, and sinker. You're gonna have to accept the John Cena takeover at some point. It's just gonna happen. All right, so next up we have All of Us Strangers, which is available to stream on Disney Plus.
A screenwriter drawn back to his childhood home enters into a fledgling relationship with his downstairs neighbor while discovering a mysterious new way to heal from losing his parents 30 years ago. Starring Andrew Scott, Paul Mescal, Jamie Bell, and Claire Foy. Sorry.
Boy,
Written and direct. What?
boy, I was
Boy?
just saying along with you.
Written and directed by Andrew Hai, loosely adapted from the novel Strangers by Taichi Yamada.
This movie, see, on my other podcast that I do after the credits, all my co-hosts had already seen this movie because they're in the Lower Mainland, and they were just floored by this movie. So it's been on Disney Plus for a little bit, and I've just been busy watching other stuff, and I finally got around to watching this. And Andrew Scott, Paul Mescal, Claire Foy, and Jamie Bell are like operating on this height, another level as far as acting goes. I don't want to get too deep into what the actual story is. I think the synopsis that you gave is kind of the best basis to have. But I mean, this is basically a film about kind of a reclusive guy who the death of his parents years and years ago has informed the human that he has become now. And now he is a gay man living as a recluse and not allowing any type of life in whatsoever until happenstance has it that Paul Mescal's character knocks on his door and this starts a relationship that brings him out of his shell. Just the depth of character that Andrew Scott is giving. I mean, the sad fact that there were so many great movies in 2023 that All of Us Strangers kind of fell by the wayside is really sad, because I think it should be recognized as one of the best of 2023 and a must-see film for 2023. But I feel for the broad mainstream that it's not going to be pushed to it, like it's already done, come and gone in its theatrical run, and now it's on streaming. They've announced that it's not getting any kind of physical release, which will kill its momentum as well. Like the last film that they said that they're not giving a release to was Barbarian, and it was just a good thing that Barbarian already had such a great word of mouth and became one of the must-see films of 2022. Um, but yeah, I think All of Us Strangers is an incredibly special film, and if you love films and love a good story, you have to see this movie. Like it's just it's like required viewing, I think. This is a beautifully done film, and 5 out of 5 in my opinion. And there's a scene in the film where the Pet Shop Boys song "You Were Always on My Mind" is playing, and it is like an emotional dagger. Like it is. This movie got tears out of me in so many different pieces that that it was completely unforgettable. This one was sent to me as a like a 48-hour screener. You got to watch this in 48 hours or it'll explode. And but it turns out now it's not coming out this week, but it's okay. We're going to give it a review anyway, and it's called They Shot the Piano Player.
New York, 2010. Jeff Harris, a music journalist, sets out to uncover the truth about Francisco Tenorio Jr., a young Brazilian samba jazz pianist who disappeared in Buenos Aires on March 18th, 1976, featuring the voice of Jeff Goldblum.
Yes, who plays the writer that you just mentioned. And I love Jeff Goldblum. Always have, always will. It's like a Jack Black thing. Like I'm, it's just he's so damn great. He feels really distracting in this one because Jeff Goldblum is more than just a voice and more. He's an entire spectrum of human being that we know Jeff Goldblum as now. Like, even think of did you see Thor Ragnarok?
No,
No,
I have
he's
not been keeping up with the
okay.
Marvel universe.
He's like the villain of it, but he's for sure just playing himself. Absolutely playing himself to a core that Taika Waititi probably just asked him what he wanted to have written into the movie, and then he just did it. So having that big of a character to be the conduit of the information in this story, like he's the investigative journalist in this one, but he's more interesting sometimes in his line reading than what's going on sometimes in the film. And I feel like the film is more about, because it's an animated film at its core, it is more about showing off the animation and exploring samba jazz than it is to delve into this mystery. Like I feel like the mystery is so kind of stretched out in it that it kind of loses the momentum of it. And I wanted to be interested in this one, especially in the investigative side and to find out what happened to this pianist. Um, but I felt like by the time the credits hit, I was just kind of over it, and it didn't satiate my mystery side, and I thought it would a bit more. And maybe the synopsis of the film threw me off in that degree. So wasn't so hot on that. Not sure exactly when this film was coming out. It was supposed to come out March 15th, but here in Canada, Mongrel has had to pivot and reschedule it. So I will make sure to bring to the show when They Shot the Piano Player will be playing in theaters. Next up, let's hit the television trail for a little bit. It's HBO's new show with Kate Winslet, The Regime.
Kate Winslet stars in this limited series as the chancellor of an unnamed Central European nation that is unraveling behind the palace walls. Also starring Matthias, oh god,
Schoenaerts.
Schoenaerts, Andrea Riseborough,
Yep.
Martha Plimpton, and Hugh Grant, created by Will Tracy.
Yes, and Will Tracy was the writer of The Menu, which is a really great movie that I think I told you to put on your list. Watch that movie; it's so good.
Yeah,
it's on Disney Plus. But Kate Winslet and HBO always means money. Mildred Pierce was a really, really great biopic miniseries. Mayor from Easttown did, I mean, so did an awards sweep in so many different awards shows. And now The Regime, which feels like slightly satirical, almost like a more dramatic Antonio Annucci, who did like Veep and The Thick of It. But Schoenaerts is he's been a favorite in anything I've seen him in. I've always dug his performances. So he's really great in this one. I really interested to see his character open up a lot more. Edgar Riseborough is incredible in everything she does as well. Hugh Grant, I love the dude. So the more that he does, and especially the more that he does HBO, I'm totally on board. And Kate Winslet is a goddess, and she has been since 1995's Heavenly Creatures. Like she's always been amazing. Yeah, this movie feels a lot funnier at its core than I think it people would believe by the trailers. So go into it with an open mind. I think it is just a limited series, probably 6 to 8 episodes. So yeah, I'm digging it so far, and I think there's 2 or 3 episodes out now. So that one's available because it's HBO. That one would be available in Canada on Crave. And moving on, moving on to a Peacock transplant to Netflix, because we don't get Peacock in Canada, but we get Netflix. But now we get Girls 5 Eva.
A one-hit wonder band from the 90s gets a second shot at fame when a young rapper samples their song, starring Sarah Bareilles.
Sarah Bareilles.
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 I'm not doing good with the names today. Busy Phillips, Paula Pell, and Renee Elise Goldsberry, created by Meredith Scardino.
And Meredith Scardino wrote 7 episodes of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, which is a ridiculously hilarious show with Ellie Kemper. And Girls 5 Eva plays into that ridiculous style, that 30 Rock style, that inane, heightened absurdity, and does it really well. And it's got my girl Busy Phillips in it, playing to her strengths in comedy, which is the blonde ditz. Like she does it really, really well. Like we're harkening back to White Chicks, like that kind of blonde ditz, or her character on Cougar Town, like that kind of character. We're going back to that. I also love Paula Pell's character in this one because she is the older version of the butchier girl in the group, the more likely to be a lesbian girl of the group. So she does become a lesbian, right? But the funny thing is Paula Pell is almost 60 and the rest of the cast is around 40. So they just like aged her up, this character up big time, and it was just like, yeah, she's the same age. And I think that's really funny. And them, after the burnout and the fallout of fame, coming back to it years later because a rapper sampled their song is a funny like re-immersion back into that music scene that I think is really funny. And it also kind of reminds me of there was this VH1 show that came out probably a few years before you were born, in 2000, called End Together, and it was like filmed in Vancouver, I believe. And it was basically about a boy band. And it was just like ridiculous and stupid. And so those two kind of correlate to me right now. So End Together and Girls 5 Eva. If you liked End Together on, I can't even say ours anymore. If you liked that on VH1 and Much Music When It Played, you'd probably dig this series. And there were 2 seasons on Peacock, and now this week there will be a 3rd season debuting on Netflix, so you can watch all 3 seasons now, as of right now, Friday, on Netflix. And yeah, that's all. And it's produced by Tina Fey, so I like Tina Fey. I like Tina Fey. Basically, most of what she touches, I'm pretty into. So, another TV thing, I don't really have much to say about it. Looney Tunes Collector's Choice Volume 3 is now out on Blu-ray. They sent me the first 2 volumes of it. Moviezinc.com did. I have to say the bigger hits are on those first 2. These are some of the lesser ones, but there are some good ones. Like, and you can tell the time, because these were probably, a lot of these were made between 1936 and 1962. So we got Mexican Joyride, Punch Trunk, Sheep Ahoy, War and Pieces, and Wet Hairs are the top rated. They're the top rated shorts that are on this one. I feel like Looney Tunes people know what I'm talking about. Everyone else is like, wrap it up, buddy. Wrap it up. Keep going. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to keep going. But Looney Tunes Collector's Choice Volume 3 out now. Okay, I watched my 4K of American Graffiti, and I've got thoughts.
A group of teenagers in California's Central Valley spend one final night after their 1962 high school graduation cruising the strip with their buddies before they pursue their varying goals. Starring Ron Howard, Richard Dreyfuss, Charles Martin Smith, and it's written and directed by George Lucas.
Yes, and this was George Lucas's second feature film after THX 1138, which was a box office bomb. And I mean, it featured a young cast. This was I think this is pre Happy Days. So Ron Howard would go on from this to Happy Days. It's also listed on the American Film Institute's top 100 films of all time. Like, there's prestige to this film, and it definitely is the template for those night in the life of a group of teenagers type movie, those comedies and stuff that the word to come, like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Dazed and Confused, all those type of movies. So I recognize the archetype, and I recognize that those films wouldn't come without this film. And Harrison Ford is so freaking young in it, and so badass. And apparently he was badass at the time. Like, he got into bar fights and everything while doing this film. Him and other co-stars were drunk in between scenes. They asked him to cut his hair to do the movie, and he refused to, so he wore a cowboy hat the whole movie. Like, there's just certain, like, just badassdoms about Harrison Ford. I just wish that I felt the reverence of this movie like everybody else seems to have. Like, this is definitely a boomer movie, like, and probably beyond that as well. Because I just don't have, like, I can enjoy a film that takes place in this time, but I don't have this deep nostalgia and deep love for this time. So maybe it skips over my head. The pacing of the film is kind of frustrating, and the storytelling's a bit frustrating. And then the end, they kind of do like this fade out thing, and then they go to a postscript and tell you that two of the characters died in the years that follow. And it's a downer. It just really takes you out of it all. And you're like, that is not the way to end a movie. You don't need a paragraph about each character. Like, it
Unless
just,
it's a documentary.
yeah. And it just feels so flat to go out in the movie like that. And then to head right into like a boppy song from 1962, like through the credits, is like, I don't know. It wasn't for me, I guess. Like, it's one of those top 100 of all time films that I don't get. And I also, for the collectors out there, if you're going to get the 4K, be aware that my 4K disc crapped out at an hour 37 into the movie. Just froze. I couldn't skip forward, couldn't skip back. It was just done. So I had to grab the Blu-ray out of the same edition and watch it on the Blu-ray player. But it was like, the 4K is busted. I'm putting that out there now. Not cool.
Sued.
Yeah, sued. Yeah, they're coming after us now. So just a few quick ones to hit before we get to our ending here. Eddie Murphy Raw is out on Blu-ray. I guess arguably one of the greatest stand-up specials of all time, and definitely inspiration for many stand-up comedians that are performing today. No special features, just the show. But what else do you need? Do you need commentary? I don't think you need commentary on a stand-up comedy special. That would just be weird, right? Director's notes.
Who's the who?
Robert Townsend, actually. Robert Townsend directed it, who is a friend of Eddie Murphy. There's actually been some big-time directors that have done comedy specials. The Nick Offerman one on Netflix, American Ham, that's directed by Jordan Vogt Roberts. Jordan Vogt Roberts also directed Kong Skull Island. Yeah.
I did not know that stand-up comedies had directors.
Sometimes they do. Sometimes they're doing some stylistic stuff. Like sometimes, I mean, it's just shot very statically, very direct on. But yeah, sometimes they actually have like some real directors directing them.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. Next up is Wonka 4K is now, well, it's been available for a bit, but Warner Brothers shipped it out to me and it's gorgeous. I never thought I would enjoy this movie, but I did. I gave it a 4.5. Oh, sorry, a 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd, which is big for me in musicals. Like, me in musicals, we don't mix. It doesn't work out. But I reviewed the film itself on the December 22nd episode of What the Hell Should I Watch? So go find that one. You'll find my review. It does have a few special features on it: Unwrapping Wonka, Paul King's Vision, the whimsical music of Wonka, Welcome to Wonka Land, Hats Off to Wonka, and Wonka's Chocolate Tier. So that is available probably freaking everywhere, like Walmart, everywhere, because Wonka was a big one. It's a big Warner release, so you probably can find that pretty broadly. Also Silent Night, starring Joel Kinnaman. This is John Woo's new film, his first North American film in over 20 years. I reviewed it on the December 7th episode of What the Hell Should I Watch? I gave it a 2 out of 5 on Letterboxd. You might want to watch that one to see why I gave it a 2 out of 5, but it does have a special feature on it called Actions Speak Louder Than Words, so you can check that one out. Again, it's a Lionsgate release, so you probably can find that one in most stores. And finally, Eileen is out on Blu-ray. I thought it was a pretty solid movie. It's the William Oldroyd's new film. He's the one that did Lady Macbeth with Florence Pugh, the first film I ever saw Florence Pugh in. But I gave Eileen a 3.5 out of 5. Probably it's kind of a solid mystery, and I reviewed that on the January 12th episode. And that is it this week from What the Hell Should I Watch? Next week, I will be giving my review on Imaginary, the first of 2 Imaginary Friend movies that we're getting in 2024. This one is the Blumhouse scary one. Is it going to be scary? Doubtful. I don't know. Have you seen the trailer for this one at all?
No.
Have you seen the poster? It's just like a teddy
No.
bear.
I didn't know that a movie called, because wasn't there another one that was like a kids movie
Yeah,
with
that's
like a
called
big
If.
purple guy?
If.
It
Which is an acronym for Imaginary Friend. Yeah, that one's directed by John Krasinski, and it's got like Ryan Reynolds in it, and it looks good. It looks really good because I adore John Krasinski. I like that he's taking a break from the Quiet Place stuff right now.
I don't.
No, Day One
Get
looks
back
sweet.
on it.
Day One looks sweet though.
Yeah.
Have
it
you seen
does.
the
I'm really
trailer for
excited.
it? It looks really, really, really good, and it's got Lupita Nyong'o in it, and I adore her. But yeah, no, If looks really good. Imaginary does not. But I'm trying to, maybe if I don't know, if I keep the bar like here, then maybe I'll enjoy it.
Yeah. After Knock at the Cabin, I've been going into movies with a very low bar because that movie disappointed me.
Oh, see, you went in with a high bar. I went
Because
in with
I love M. Night Shyamalan.
I went in with a low bar and I liked it because I went in with a higher bar for Glass and I hated it. And I went in for a higher bar with Old and I hated it.
I liked Old.
I really did not like Old. The last movie I liked by Night was Split. Oh no,
Yeah.
sorry. Besides Knock, I like Knock because I think that Dave Bautista is incredible in that movie.
Yeah. Like, everybody was really good in the movie. It's just the writing made me care not about the main characters.
Okay.
Like, I cared more about Dave Bautista and Rupert Grint. I can't believe they killed Rupert Grint in like the first like 20 minutes.
Right.
I was also really
Spoiler.
angry. Oh, came out like 2 years ago.
1 year.
That's your fault if that's a
1
spoiler.
year. Came out.
I don't know.
It's like a year. It's like just over a year. It came out February last year.
It's old enough.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. We'll stab you to statute on this show at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. But I went into that movie mad anyways because there was a specific start time for the movie. I went to go see it in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
And I arrived to go sit down 5 minutes early. I walk into the theater 5 minutes early. The movie's already been playing for 10 minutes.
Whoa! So you missed some beginning stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I was just already mad. And then I
Mm-hmm.
guess on top of all the little annoyances in the movie, it just ruined it.
Fair enough. I thought it was. I what I appreciated with it is for once M. Night was playing it really straightforward. He really doesn't do straightforward. But the thing that's consistent, he doesn't get human interaction at all. He doesn't understand it. He can't write it. He can't direct it. He's like an alien. He's not sure.
Speaking as an autistic person, that man is autistic.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe that's why I like his movies so much.
Maybe. I will leave you with this. His daughter has a movie coming out this year, and they released a trailer for it. I suggest you check it out. It stars Dakota Fanning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, check it out because I think we'll bring that one to the show for sure. But that is it for this week on What the Hell Should I Watch? My name again is Steve Stebbing. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, Threads at the Stevel Dead. You can also find me on where can you find me?
SteveStebbing.ca.
Hey, SteveStebbing.ca. Also, you can find me on my Twitter page, or my YouTube page, which you're probably watching right here. It's called Steve Stebbing. You can rate and subscribe and share it with your friends if you're feeling saucy enough. And also, you can find this show on shiftheads.ca with Shane Hewitt. You can also find the Facebook group there and join up because I think there's over almost close to 4,000 people on that page now. So it's very cool, and they share all my stuff there. That's it for me. Chloe, you're not on social medias at all, but you have a Letterboxd.
I have a Letterboxd. It's Honeybun Chloe or just Chloe Stebbing. Again, that is all I got.
And if you have any questions for Chloe or questions for me, put them down there in the comments, and we will address them on the next episode. But until then, have a good week, everybody.